Let's sit by the fire for a moment. I'm not here to teach. I'm not here to convince. I'm not here to perform. I lived through something, and this is the story of what it revealed. This isn't for the many. This is for the few. And if you're one of them, you'll feel it. Because most men never heal. Not because they are incapable of healing. Not because they lack strength. And not because they don't want to change. Most men never heal because they are fighting the wrong battle. They think their problem is the breakup, the stress, the woman, the job, the anxiety, the lack of confidence, or the anger that appears out of nowhere. But underneath all of it, beneath every trigger, every insecurity, every emotional collapse, there is something deeper. Two wounds, two invisible forces shaping a man's entire life. The mother wound and the father wound. These are the first stories written into your nervous system. They become the blueprint for how you love, how you trust, how you express yourself, how you fight, how you collapse, and how you see yourself as a man. And most men go their entire lives without ever looking at them. Not because they don't matter, but because the boy inside them still believes that if he looks at this, he will fall apart. But the truth is the opposite. You fall apart when you don't look. Healing begins the moment a man finally stops running from the truth of where it all began. So let's go there now. Every man was once a child. Soft, open, impressionable. A boy who needed guidance from one parent and emotional safety from the other. Your father shaped your identity. Your mother shaped your emotional world. And those two foundations became how you love, how you fight, how you trust, how you react, how you lead, how you carry pain, how you collapse, and how you hold yourself as a man. You did not invent your wounds. You inherited them. Your parents were not villains. They were unhealed children raising another child. But their wounds became your internal world. Let's begin with the father. The father wound is the foundation of a man's identity. In every boy, there's a question quietly forming beneath the surface. Am I enough? A father answers that question through presence or through absence. If he was present, loving, grounded, and firm, your identity developed with strength. You felt guided. You felt protected. You felt there was a man you could model yourself after. But if he was absent, emotionally unavailable, distant, angry, unpredictable, addicted, or simply lost, then the boy inside you learned something else. He learned that he was on his own, that no one would protect him, that he had to be strong without guidance, that his feelings did not matter, that love was unstable, that masculinity was dangerous, that authority could not be trusted. A boy who never had a safe father grows into a man who does not trust other men, fears failure, overcompensates with strength, hides his emotions, or collapses under pressure. He becomes self-reliant, but emotionally exiled, capable but disconnected, successful but unfulfilled, strong but hollow. This is the father wound, the absence of masculine protection, direction, and identity. And most men never heal it because they do not want to confront the truth that they needed a father and did not have one. That truth feels too vulnerable. But vulnerability is not weakness. It is the doorway to becoming whole. Brother, if you grew up without a safe and emotionally present father, you were not defective. You were wounded, and you survived. But survival has a cost. Everything you avoided feeling as a child becomes your shadow as a man. Now let's go deeper. If the father wound shapes a man's identity, the mother wound shapes his heart. The mother wound is subtle, soft, and often invisible, but it is powerful. It forms your emotional world. Your mother teaches you whether you feel worthy, whether you feel seen, whether your emotions matter, and whether love feels safe, overwhelming, unavailable, or unpredictable. If your mother was warm, grounded, stable, and emotionally nurturing, You grew up learning that connection and vulnerability were safe. But if she was overwhelmed, anxious, emotionally inconsistent, critical, depressed, controlling, angry, or absent through work, pain, or survival, then your emotional world learned something very different. It learned that love is unpredictable, that your emotions are too much, that you must earn affection, that you must perform to be loved, that closeness cannot be trusted, that you must fix others to feel safe, and that love hurts more than it heals. A man with a mother wound often becomes a rescuer, a people pleaser, a fixer, a chaser, a man who overgives, a man who falls for chaos, a man who fears abandonment, a man who becomes emotionally overwhelmed, and a man who loses himself in relationships. This is why so many men repeat painful romantic patterns. It is not bad luck. It is the mother wound replaying itself, trying to resolve what was never healed. Brother, if you have ever loved a woman who drained you, pulled you into chaos, hurt you deeply, or triggered your deepest fears, you were not weak. You were repeating a wound, not consciously and not intentionally, but because the child inside you was seeking resolution. The mother wound teaches a man how he loves. The father wound teaches a man who he becomes. Together, they shape the entire story, and that is why most men never heal, because they do not know the story they are living is not their own. It was written long before they became conscious. Now listen closely, because here is the turning point. Most men go their entire lives without ever asking themselves what they did not receive from their father, what they did not receive from their mother, and how that absence is shaping the man they are today. Healing begins the moment you ask those questions, and it becomes real the moment you answer them honestly. Healing the father wound is not about blaming your father. It is about becoming the father your younger self needed. Healing the mother wound is not about blaming your mother. It is about giving yourself the nurture, softness, and emotional safety that you never learned to receive. This is the foundation of the sovereign man. He becomes the parent he never had, not out of anger, not out of resentment, not out of shame, but out of love for the boy inside him who carried the family's pain because no one else knew how. If you feel emotionally reactive, easily triggered, afraid of abandonment, drawn to chaos, afraid of intimacy, unable to open your heart, avoiding responsibility, afraid of failure, lost in your identity, confused about how to lead, or disconnected from your masculinity, this is not your fault. These are symptoms of wounds, not flaws. And every wound can be healed when it is finally understood. You heal the father wound by becoming the man he could not be. You heal the mother wound by giving yourself the love she struggled to express. You heal the boy by telling him he is safe, because you are here now. That is how the sovereign man is born. Not through perfection, but through integration. Not through toughness, but through truth. Not through force, but through awareness. The king rises when the boy is finally seen. So if you have made it this far, you are not here by accident. This is not just information. It is remembrance. You do not need to become someone else. You need to come back to yourself. The boy does not need more pressure. He needs protection. The wounds do not need more shame. They need understanding. And the man does not need to disappear. He needs to step forward. Now, I want to ask you something, and I want you to answer it honestly in the comments. What wound feels strongest in you right now? The mother wound, the father wound, or the wounded boy inside? And which one do you feel ready to face first? Speak it. That is where healing begins. If you want more of these fire talks, more initiation, more truth, and more grounded masculine integration, subscribe, because this is the path. Boy to man. I'll see you at the fire.